Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today I'll be going over how to make this roller text effect with geometry nodes. Very straightforward. It is a spinning cylinder with text attached on the surface. Of course, we can always UV unwrap the cylinder and attach an image texture with text on it, but what's the fun in that? Advancing this node map, we can also make roller printing effect, so I think it should be a simple yet fun exercise. Alright, let's get into it. As soon as we get into Blender, let's hop right into Geometry Nodes Layout. H, select everything, X to delete, Shift A and add a mesh plane. For now, zoom in a little bit and add a new Geometry Nodes map. Delete the group input and add a string input instead. Type in something like test in here, pass it through a strings to curve, and output. For now, let's center it to the origin point, so change the alignment to center and middle. Use resample curve, change it to length, change the value to 0.01 to uniformly add more points. Use a realize instance to convert it into actual curve object. Then let's actually go through with filling it, like so. Alright, so we're done with the base text. So let's create a cylinder that this text gets casted onto. So from realize instance, add a bounding box, pull out separate x, y, z from the min, and extract the x element, pass it through a combine x, y, z, then put it into a curved line start. Duplicate these two nodes by Shift D, and do the same for max, and pop it into end, like so. So if I were to output this right now, you'll see a curved line that goes straight through the text, like that. Right, now let's make a cylinder by using a curve to mesh. Pop it in here, and for profile curve, add a curved circle, like so. And you can see that we've just made a circled cylinder that goes around this text. I'm going to change it to wireframe so it's easier to see. Now let's start casting the text, but let's first decide on the direction that we're casting it to. So let's use a transform geometry. Actually, I'm going to move this down a little bit more. From rotation, I'm going to pull out a combine x, y, z. And from x, I'm going to pull out a value node. And now if I were to change this value, you'll see the text just spinning around, like so. So the direction that we want to do the raycast is the direction that we're facing the text to. So now I'm going to use a set position because I want to cast it onto the cylinder. So from set position, I'm going to pull out a raycast hit position and plug in the curve to mesh result to target geometry, like so. So now it's casting directly down because the ray direction is 0, 0, -1. I want to align this ray direction to the combine XYZ. So I'm going to pull out a rotate vector from here. Put in 0, 0, 1 in here and pull out a line from combine vector into rotation, like so. So now if I were to change this value, you can see that the text is basically attaching itself to the cylinder wherever it's facing. Right, so casting is done, but it looks kind of lonely by itself. So I'm just gonna delete this join geometry by Control X. Change it back to solid mode, and let's start adding its friends, companions. I'm gonna use repeat zone, widen the area like this. Then I'm gonna add a mask node to make a iterator, like so. And I'm gonna use a join geometry to join the output of set position into here. And I'm gonna reconnect the repeat output to group output, like so. Okay. So every time it iterates, it's gonna add a new this text that is casted on, right? So from the iterator value, I'm gonna pull out a mask node, multiply, and instead of this value, I'm gonna replug this into combine XYZ input. And now if I were to increase the iteration, I get a new text with offset of 0.5 radians, like so. Now, I don't want to calculate this number and angle manually, so what I'm going to do is input a number right here, duplicate this multiply, change it to divide, change the top value to tau, which is 2 pi. I'm going to plug this value into iterations and also to the bottom of divide, and I'm going to plug this divide into multiply, like so. Okay. So now if I were to change the numbers, it's going to uniformly calculate, well, it's going to uniformly place the text, like so. For this example, I'm going to go with the number 8, kind of like this. And now we're going to move on to animating. It's going to be simple. I'm going to insert a transform geometry, pull out a combine XYZ from rotation, pull out a multiply out of X, and from the top value, I'm going to use a scene time to set it up like this. So if I were to run the animation now, you can see that all the text is rotating around its cylinder. I can change the speed by changing this gain. So if you increase the gain, it's going to speed up. Set it to whatever number you like. Right, so we're pretty much done. So let's input something longer. This is a roller text. And if you input something longer, you might see some artifact like this. And this is because this bounding box is it's pretty much flush to its size. So what I'm gonna do is add a mask node right here between separate and combine. For the bottom part, I'm gonna add it by 0.5, and for the top one, I'm gonna subtract it by 0.5. So the cylinder becomes a little bit bigger and it has a little bit more leeway. Okay. Right, I'm not going to be making material for this, but I'm going to use a matte cap and see how it looks. And as you can see, the resolution is pretty bad, right? So it's blocky and choppy. So what I'm going to do is go down to the circle, curved circle for the cylinder. I'm going to up the resolution to 512, like so. And before output, I'm gonna use the set shade smooth to set it to smooth shading, like so. Now it looks cleaner, and yeah, I think it looks pretty. All right, so let's go over what we just made. I'm not gonna be re-explaining everything. So I'm gonna go from left to right showing you the connections. So here you go. And yeah, this is roller text effect, basically done in less than 10 minutes. Thank you for watching and see you next time.